Welcome, everybody, to another week of Want Anything from Shop. We're here to talk some movie, TV news, review movies and stuff. My name is Raymond, and joining me as always is my co-host, Mandy Sham.
Woo! So exciting.
What's not exciting is our movie news today. Sir Christopher Lee just died.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
unfortunate.
he was in a lot of. He's done a lot of things with his life.
Yeah, he was in his 90s, so he went out with a bang.
Yeah, I believe he was part of a rock band at some point in his late 70s or 80s or 90s. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he had his own solo project. It was a metal project, which I hugely admire as a metal fan, and we know all
Whatever
about.
that is.
Sure. Yeah, this guy played Frankenstein's monster, Dracula from all those Hammer films. He played
And of course,
Count Dooku from the Star Wars prequels, and then Saruman from Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies.
yeah.
Such a huge loss for cinema. Greatly respected man. Great soul. Did you know anything about The Martian this week?
Yeah, the trailer was released after the stills from a couple weeks back, I think. But yeah, the official trailer was released, and it's got Matt Damon, Jessica. Oh, I hesitate to pronounce her last name.
Chastain?
It won't end well. Yeah, something like that. We
Kate
all know who
Mara.
she.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bunch
Kate
of
Mara.
like an all-star cast, Ridley Scott film. You didn't see the trailer, did you?
No, I did not.
That's actually a really good thing because everyone feels that the trailer shows the entire movie.
Especially with something like space, I don't feel like you need exposition. And I guess that's what the trailer provides, is too much of it.
Yeah, and I heard that the novel is actually very quirky and weird and very technical and scientific.
I haven't read it, but the author does have it published for free as a PDF, actually.
Oh, that's cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, so I think that's he's very supportive of the whole free content sort of thing. But you can also buy it in paperback if you want to support it. But yeah, go read it. I think I will before the movie eventually.
Yeah, of course. Join us later for our special literary book
Our
club.
book review. It's going to be so exciting. We had this conversation before. We were like, yeah, we're going to turn to page 283 at this point. Line 14.
I love reading books. Not really, I don't read books. So the news for Transformers, hopefully the final news is adding the final writer is Stephen DeKnight from Daredevil Season 1 and Spartacus, the TV show. And they're really trying to make this a thing. They're trying really hard.
The thing is, none of these seem particularly interesting. I mean, all of the writers have some sort of flaw.
Yeah.
And aren't totally consistent, but either way, it's going to be bad. And we will be there when it is bad.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg recently was trying to confirm that Michael Bay is in fact trying to go on and direct this next Transformers movie, which is gonna suck and kind of puts this whole thing in perspective that how hard you try, it's still probably gonna be kind of shitty in the end because there's no way you're gonna retcon the last 4 movies because it's still just fresh off of our memories.
Well, I think what Michael Bay is going through right now is little syndrome where it's like with Zooey Deschanel. I think she coined the whole manic pixie dream girl type thing.
Yeah.
And now that it's been coined, I feel like she's been trying to stay consistent with that whole like trope that has been created out of her. So the same thing is going on with Michael Bay, where like when we say Michael Bay, it is a trope, but now he's trying to like be consistent with that.
Yeah, well, I can't think of like a moment in Michael Bay's filmography that I was actually thoroughly impressed with anything. Now, did you watch Spy?
Yeah.
Did you like Spy?
It was mediocre to me.
Okay, well, that's too bad. That's too bad because the same creators of Spy is going to make that Ghostbusters movie, and
gosh! And of course, it's got Melissa McCarthy. It's like the infiltration of Melissa McCarthy and posse.
Okay, regardless of what you think of Melissa McCarthy and Paul Feig, people are kind of pumped for this movie because it has the Ghostbusters stamp. I'm not sure why it does, why it couldn't be its own thing and make it like this actual thing that's separate from the Ghostbusters franchise.
The reason they definitely want it for the nostalgia too.
Exactly.
So without it, it's just a lame ghost film involving feminism.
Yeah,
but
we just got our latest casting news that Chris Hemsworth is going to play the receptionist.
The receptionist.
Yeah, he's gonna file some paper.
I see. Will there be a predictable love plot going on?
I don't
actually
think so.
that's not entirely it's not necessarily predictable since it is Paul Feig.
Yeah, he usually tries to not make things predictable.
Well, not just that, like he just doesn't want to submit to that convention of having that protagonist hook up.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on the female Ghostbusters so far?
Automatically don't like it. I don't like the way that they market it. I don't like that it has Melissa McCarthy and Paul Feig. I think Ghostbusters was good the way that it was, and you should not try to reboot it with female Ghostbusters.
What's funny that there is going to be a male-oriented Ghostbusters reboot. I don't know what's happening with that. I've lost track. And
see, why can't you just do a co-ed Ghostbusters and then not name it co-ed Ghostbusters?
Or just
like
name
just name it Ghostbusters. Oh, I keep saying Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
It's been in Hong Kong for too long. Just like have it be Ghostbusters and then colon and then a kind of title that indicates it's a reboot.
Ghostbusters.
And have it be co-ed.
Do you know anything about this little franchise that's set in dystopian kind of universe starring Jennifer Lawrence?
Oh, yes, I do.
Now, last year you saw half of this movie. It's called Mockingjay. What do you think of that movie?
I definitely feel that it could have been good. I mean, the production values were there, but it was a little bit drawn out in terms of story, and you could definitely feel it drag.
I hear it like shamelessly sets up a sequel as finale, and it's just not really worth your time if you're investing in a 2-hour movie.
Nope. I believe you said that you were going to wait and hold off on Mockingjay 1,
exactly,
so that you could watch the back-to-back. That does make more sense. The first Mockingjay was definitely a little lackluster, and yes, it was deliberately set up for the finale.
Well, a huge news hit this week as the Mockingjay 2 teaser trailer finally hit the internet, and people are very stoked.
Right. Although, I mean, I'm hoping that the movie itself will be good. I think that's quite reliable to think that it will be good. But then the story itself in the books, according to the book fans, it's the weakest of the franchise, and it doesn't quite end well, but we will see.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited for the entire Mockingjay duology or whatever. Another trailer that dropped that wasn't very good, but I have high hope for content-wise is Regression.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie starring Ethan Hawke and Emma Watson. It plays itself as a horror movie in the trailer, but it's more as a mystery thriller suspense movie, directed by the guy who brought us the non-American remake of Vanilla Sky, and The Others, probably one of my most favorite horror movies. Yeah, did you get the chance to see this trailer?
I didn't, but it is Ethan Hawke and Emma Watson together. So
I want to see like a movie of Ethan Hawke, but he's a vampire because it seems like he doesn't age.
That's true. It could get meta really quickly. Yeah.
I like the two leads, and I like the director, and the cinematography looks excellent. It looks beautiful and stuff, and definitely worth checking out when it comes out. When the time, I'll remind you.
Okay. Yeah. So next, Pitch Perfect 3. Why on earth is that happening?
It's happening because Pitch Perfect 2 destroyed every movie of that week when it came out, and they're moving forward very quickly with the script and into pre-production with this movie.
That honestly is not a very good sign for them to be moving so quickly from development into pre-production.
Yeah,
it's probably a sign that they have it all cookie-cuttered out, which I'm assuming that's what the second movie of the franchise is like. I haven't seen it, but I don't think it's going to be worth my time.
I heard that in comparison, the second one is pretty shitty.
Yeah, the first was the one that was surprising. I mean, you walked into it expecting to see some sort of Glee thing, but just a little wittier, and you got a bit more than that. And the arrangements were also quite nice musically. But the second one is probably, they tried to attract too much of the crowd of the first one. Yeah,
would you be interested in seeing the second one, though?
If I was gagged and forced. No, but I would see it on a plane ride. So.
Speaking of sequels, we got another sequel to a movie that was a surprise hit with people and did very well at the box office. Kingsman. Matthew Vaughn doing a script right now and seeing how good it is. If it's good, they're gonna make it into an actual movie.
It's gonna be so awesome. I can only hope.
You can feel it already. Yeah.
There are some people who... Yeah, sorry, you go on first.
What's weird is that Colin Firth was contacted to appear in the sequel. Somehow, for those that didn't see the movie, like, it doesn't end off in a point where you think that his character would be a part of the next movie. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it probably will draw a couple of flashbacks. Or it might even be the prequel.
Yeah, I would love to see a Kingsman prequel.
I'd be interested too.
Yeah, because that world seems to be very well established for the movie, right as the movie starts, right? This whole society of spies and Kingsman.
Right, which is why when John Wick 2 was still very much in speculation, people were saying that a prequel wasn't out of the question because it was all like the world was all set up nicely, and they could go deeper into that.
Yeah, well, another thing that happened is Marvel has a new cast member to add to the Doctor Strange movie with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, which you've seen in the Firefly
12 Years a
movie.
Slave?
Yeah, and that too. He's playing a character named Baron Mordo. It's a very obscure character. I don't know anything about it. What do you think of Chiwetel?
I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I believe the fans who actually do follow Doctor Strange think that it's a really good choice in terms of casting.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, I can't really comment.
Yeah, me neither. Like, they're talking about Tilda Swinton making an appearance into the movie, and there's not really much to talk about. What's interesting is that Disney also went forward some marketing with their new animated feature, Zootopia, which is set in a universe where humans never existed. Animals are all the rave. They can talk, walk, have jobs, and wear clothing. And it's a fox and a bunny. They don't get along, but I guess in the movie, they try to get along. One is scammers, one is a police officer. It's a very interesting trailer.
That's interesting, somewhat.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. People are on the fence of this trailer, but I'm one of the people that really love what they're doing with the movie, and it's definitely worth checking out. Something else that's also worth checking out is Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight that's coming this Christmas to 70mm theaters, and then a full wide release in normal 35mm for January 8th.
That's going to be exciting.
Well, this is probably one of his last films, and he's all about film and protecting film, and this seems very appropriate for what he's going for.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge event just to go see this. Like, just to go see any Tarantino film.
Any Tarantino film in a theater.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when he does actually retire, I am positive that the smaller theaters are going to have these commemoration days where you might be able to see Pulp Fiction on screen.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Along with all of his other movies, yeah.
Yeah, well, they do have those things going on already for like Tarantino festivals and stuff, since he's a huge fan.
But it'll be so much more hyped up when he actually does retire.
Yeah, which it seems to be the case with after this one, because he says that he's not going to make too many movies in his lifetime, and film is going to die out very quickly, and this might be it.
We'll have to treat it like it is.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's go watch the movie when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so TV news. We got huge casting news for Daredevil Season 2. John Bernthal from The Walking Dead and Wolf of Wall Street is officially playing Frank Castle, a.k.a. The Punisher.
That is something I also can't comment on as someone who doesn't read the books.
Damn it!
Oh, sorry, not books, the comics. However, again, I do have friends who enjoy pursuing this sort of pastime, and they think it's great as well. They think it's perfect, actually.
It is very perfect. Like, if you look at the art for the Punisher so far, and then John's face, you see, like, the nose is exactly the same. So they casted the nose part correctly.
Right. It probably emphasis on the nose when it came to casting.
And during The Walking Dead and Wolf of Wall Street, he played very aggressive, violent characters. And this seems to be the perfect match for the Punisher. He's being a very a brutal character to go up against Daredevil, probably as the villain in the Season 2 for Netflix.
Right. So when the casting is right, so I do have high hopes for the second season of Daredevil.
Yes. And that's going to be lots of excitement to go over. Lots of things to watch. So much media to consume.
Right.
Lots of reboots going on with TV and cartoons. Ben 10 is getting rebooted.
What's Ben 10?
It's about, I guess it's about a kid who has this magical watch thing, and he gets transformed into 10 different aliens and save the planet or something.
Right.
It's a hit with the kids, and you're not into it.
No, but I mean, it might be interesting.
Mm-hmm. What about reboots? The 90s 3D cartoon series that premieres on YTV. So Reboot was a series that people loved, especially here in Canada. It's a series that I personally grew up with, my cousin grew up with, and people are very pumped for this reboot, which is currently titled Reboot the Guardian Code. Another reboot that's happening is Powerpuff Girls.
Oh no.
Oh yes. I
don't know how I feel about that.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
What were your opinions of Powerpuff Girls to begin with?
I really love Powerpuff Girls.
Really? But why aren't you excited for this one?
Why am I not?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be done well. It has to be done well.
It looks very very slick. Like the character design, it doesn't look much different from the original. They just
Right.
got like a different hairstyle. It's been upgraded to like digital, and everything looks crisp. They got recasted, and then one of the actors who played Bubbles in the original, Tara Strong, got really pissed off and went to Twitter and said that she got stabbed in the back by Cartoon Network because no one contacted her to be the new Bubbles. And the
I
same thing
see.
happened with the other cast members, and it's kind of I'm not sure what to think about that, but the reboot I'm very excited for.
I see. We'll see
Yeah,
how it goes.
we'll see. Another thing that we covered last week was Degrassi ending forever. Well, they're not ending forever. They're just gone from television and they're moving on to Netflix in
Right.
2016.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Netflix. Why'd you do it, Netflix?
Netflix is one. It's like a company that just kind of accepts you for who you are, regardless of how crappy your show is or how great. And they just like, come on, make a show with us. It'll be
That's true.
fun.
Well,
They're
I'm pretty
very
sure
open.
they weren't able to find another platform that would take them.
Well, they could have went like with Hulu, like with the mini project.
Maybe
But
maybe with Yahoo, like whatever that is,
yeah,
that obscure Yahoo streaming service.
that only works if you want to watch Community and nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, that's like the only thing, like the only time it came up on headlines.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can imagine. Like Netflix, I mean, Degrassi being on was Yahoo or Hulu, but Netflix, I don't know. I guess that's gonna be like if you're a Degrassi fan, you're gonna love this news. But for us,
Right.
it's not really anything. What's something that you watched this week that you would recommend to anyone?
Oh, this week I finally got around. Actually, no.
No.
Let me start again. So this week I rewatched Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Nice.
I think because I was craving sushi at the time, not gonna lie. But the people that I'm staying with currently haven't ever seen it. So, and I think it's a very good example of what a documentary should be like at its pinnacle.
Yeah, it looks stunning and well made. Perfect.
Very well made, and the music is good. Like everything, it just comes together like good sushi. Ha. I think I've noticed this trend with Japanese, or well, not Japanese, but documentaries that are based in Japan or involve Japanese people. They always have this very poignant tone to them.
Mhm.
It's never going to be happy or rocky or angsty or anything. The emotion generally is poignant or bittersweet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Like the more you talk about Jiro Dreams of Sushi, I just want some sushi right now. So thanks for that.
just one of the many ways you can torture yourself is go to food porn on Reddit, scroll through all of the pictures, make sure they're all in high definition.
Or
Otherwise,
just go on Instagram. It's basically food porn. I think is a bigger industry than actual pornography, which
Most
is
likely.
kind of a good and a bad thing, and says something about our culture. But
Right.
lots of things that I watched this week. I was trying to watch Office Space, but then I quit kind of 10 minutes in for some reason. I guess I'll continue that.
You must, otherwise you'll never get the jokes that people make behind your back.
Exactly. And
Actually, you might, because cultural osmosis has ensured that everyone understands what joke exactly is being made, even if they haven't seen Office Space.
I probably already know the ending of this movie, probably when I see it when time comes.
There's a possibility.
But a very interesting movie that I saw that I tried recommending to you is Only Lovers Left Alive. It's a movie starring Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton. It's a very slow burn, and it's about vampires, but it's the coolest interpretation of vampires in I guess the communication and digital age, where you get one of the oldest vampires ever and just have like a very slow build up to almost nothing. It's just kind of a journey that you're gonna go through, and you get lots of great music, great moments with the cinematography, excellent acting, and it's definitely worth checking.
Right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow our podcast at Want From The Shop. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Want Anything From The Shop. You can follow me on Twitter at RaymondTang1. You can follow Mandy at
Mandy Sham.
And we also have someone who helped us put this podcast together. You can follow Lauren at Twitter at L Malik with a Y and a K, and you can read her the Exquisite Corpus short film review on Screen Hub, as well as the Ex Machina review that I did, the Orange is the New Black review, the Spy review, Jurassic World review, and so on. And you can also read Mandy's stuff at
manateesandmatinees.com, which eventually will have reviews, and for the time being, it's sort of lingering in limbo. So
you left off at Tomorrowland, and I'm just awaiting like a better movie to review.
Right.
Be more fun to read about, but you know that Wild Tales review is gonna be great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
So let's move on to our Ex Machina review.
Woo! Exciting. It is a little bit late, but that's because I haven't seen it until recently.
Yeah, unfortunately, indie movies like these don't play anywhere outside of the US and Canada, which is unfortunate,
Right.
but it's a good thing you got a
There
chance
are
to check this out.
there is a possibility that these kind of movies are eventually distributed internationally, but generally it takes upwards of half a year for them to come out elsewhere.
Yeah. The way we review this movie is first we'll go into non-spoilers, and halfway through we'll go into full, deep, hardcore spoilers for everyone who's seen the movie, which I guess is most of you by now who have seen this movie.
Likely, which is good because then we can really get down and dirty about it.
Ooh.
So I'll start with the premise of Ex Machina.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I guess I can start with the very title is actually a portion of De Ex Machina,
Mm-hmm.
which means playing God, basically. And it does play on this theme quite a lot, as the plot itself is about this inventor who creates a robot and has someone come over to conduct the Turing test on the robot to see if it passes for human. Now, the catch to this is that Caleb, who is a person who is invited over to a hermit's place to conduct this test on the robot, already knows that Ava, the robot, is already a robot. So, I mean, the entire notion of Turing test is that you don't know who you're talking to, but from what you deduce from the conversation that you have, you decide whether or not they're a robot. In this case, it is a robot that already exists in front of his eyes, and the question is whether or not the robot is sentient. So, this entire tangent that I've gone on to explain this specific point of the movie is just a little foot dip into the big philosophy that this movie goes into. But basically, it deals with consequences of creating a sentient AI and, how humans are, the human condition, etc.
And the first time I got to know about this movie was through a quick glance of a trailer on YouTube. And at that point, I had no idea where this is coming from. Is this a horror movie? Is this like full on just sci-fi? Or is this like something like an experiment like Gravity that's going to redefine cinema? And it was fun when I watched it. But after a while, you kind of like dissect it. You know that it's coming from like a background of writing Dread and 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Alex Garland is a very good writer, but his stuff is in no way perfect as we see in like movies like 28 Days Later and stuff. And once you try to dissect film, it's worth talking about. But ultimately, going into the movie, you and I were very excited for this movie. Way too excited. And we came out liking this movie, I guess. And then, I really like this movie. But I can kind of identify its flaws. And it wasn't as great as it could have been. But it was just a very good effort, considering that this is the first time that Alex Garland actually wrote and directed his own movie. And he's taken a lot of cues from other filmmakers that he's worked with throughout the years. In particular with Danny Boyle and his style of storytelling. And it's worth checking out, in short, and everyone should go see this.
What I found the most striking about the movie was the cinematography and the writing.
Yeah, it looks absolutely beautiful.
It's very beautiful. But also the way that the characters interact is sort of done very naturalistically. I feel as though you can sense all of the tension between the characters quite well. Between and among, because there's a lot of complexities going on at the relational level in this movie. So, to be honest, I feel like in terms of the complexity of the plot itself, it's quite simple. And the structure, you can basically, for the most part, understand where it's going to go or where it's going to lead. But if we're talking in terms of characters, I feel like it was done very well, and it's very subtle.
Yeah, and if I'm not in one particular moment with one character, I was kind of wondering if it was just the script that made this character who they were, or it was the acting, or both. And I think this is the perfect harmony of actors working with script just to make these interactions as organic as they feel. Because this whole movie is pure atmosphere. It's very simple, like you said, and it's very focused on what it's trying to deliver, and it delivers it very stunningly, visually speaking. And the music is also very moody. It's by one of the guys who are from Portishead, which is a very great electronic band.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff to see in this movie.
Quite a lot. And the acting is extremely good from everyone.
Yes.
I'm actually quite shocked at I actually don't remember his name, but he played one of the Weasley brothers. in Harry Potter.
Really? Donald Gleason?
Donald Gleason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he played one of the Gingers, and if you ever go and look up any interviews involving him, he has the most off-putting Irish accent, which is so strange because he's so like well-mannered and polite, and he's got blonde hair in his film. And I guess I didn't recognize him at all. I mean, I had to look him up to realize that he was actually one of the Weasley brothers.
Yeah, the most recent thing that I saw him in was in the movie Frank with Michael Fassbender and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Mm-hmm.
He played pretty much the same character, and the big problem that kind of, it's not really a problem, but I just kind of, in the back of my head, was just comparing these two characters played by the same person, and felt kind of typecasted in a way where it felt like Caleb could have been played by any other actor. But the actor who was cast was great in the role. I'm not saying that it's bad, but it's just something that kind of distracted me during my viewing.
I see. But I do think that he put on a very good performance, because not that he was special or incredibly attractive or anything, but I think the important thing was allowing the audience to really sympathize with him.
Yeah.
People really do sympathize with that character.
I'm one of the people who kind of sympathize with Ava, our artificial intelligence, for some reason.
Right, people do. But then again, that's sort of ironic.
Well, funny thing is that during this movie, when it was released and in theaters, there was another AI movie to kind of be released around the time it was released called Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I think this movie knocks it out of the park. AI-wise, it's very focused story, unlike Age of Ultron, which is trying to go places way too quickly. This one in particular takes its time. It's a very slow burn, and it's ultimately way more satisfying than any summer blockbuster that we've gotten so far, besides Mad Max. It's a completely different movie, I agree. But like,
there needs to be, we have to somehow implement a counter of like the number of times that we've mentioned Mad Max.
Yeah, like, oh, this week I just saw Mad Max for the third time, and it was still as amazing as I remembered it.
Yeah, it's like, oh guys, go see Mad Max for like, the third time in a week. We're reminding you.
Yeah,
so,
go see Mad Max.
Right, but not to get off and go on a tangent. Let's go into our spoiler review.
Yeah, since this movie is actually extremely hard to discuss when you're just dancing around. Yeah, right. So go see the movie, come back, see us, talk to us, join us in our discussion of Ex Machina spoiler review happening right now. Welcome back.
And welcome back. So there's something I want to talk about first, which I thought was actually quite brilliant. It was, in particular, the scene where Caleb is starting to feel a little paranoid, and he takes out a knife, I think it was, and he slits his wrist. And you sort of get the feeling that maybe he is a robot during this scene, or not even during that scene, but way beyond that. When the scene even began, you sort of were wondering or having the fan speculation of, is he actually a robot too, doing a Turing test on another robot? Because I think after Blade Runner, everyone just assumes that's the go-to plot with robot AI movies. So I think having that scene of him slit open his wrist to see the blood pouring out was good, because it dispelled all of the fan theories that might have popped up if that scene wasn't there.
Yeah, I felt like nearing the third act of the movie, the story is just piling on twists after twists. Like, is he a robot or is he not? Did Oscar Isaac kind of know what was going on, or didn't he? Is Caleb gonna run away with Ava and live a happy life? And all of it is just kind of feels like red herrings, just distract you from what is actually going to happen. And when it does happen, there is some mild controversy concerning Ava, who escapes by herself but leaves Caleb just helpless and trapped in there seemingly forever, which the people I know didn't really have as much fun with that ending as I did in particular. But I think it's an excellent way of just ending the movie in what it's established tone-wise.
I think to have him escape with her would have completely destroyed any of the thematic setup that went on earlier in the movie.
Exactly.
So you can't say that it was, maybe it was unsatisfying, but you can't say it's unsatisfying as a piece of art or a piece of, like, a message. Because just because it doesn't suit that sort of happy ending trope doesn't make it any less impactful. In fact, to have the happy ending would take out all of the impact.
Yeah. What were your favorite moments during this film?
Favorite moments. I do like the interactions between Ava and Caleb, but at the same time, I think I enjoyed the ones with Oscar Isaac character more, almost, because I think Ava was fascinating. Yeah, but when you are seeing, basically, it's showing you three relationship dynamics overall, which would be Ava and what is Oscar Isaac's character's name?
Uh,
I just don't. I should not be referring to him as Oscar Isaac character.
Nathan Bateman.
Nathan, right. So you have three relationship dynamics, the Nathan and Ava, which of course, as you find out, it becomes one of abuse. And then you have Ava and Caleb, and you have Caleb and Nathan. So throughout the film, you're seeing these relationship dynamics being juggled and how they change and develop throughout the film. So I think that's honestly the most that I enjoyed about the movie was how those interactions change and looking at those subtle changes, because you'll see that it does get a little bit tense with Caleb and Nathan over time. But at the same time, it's like Alex Garland is ensuring that you are sympathizing with Caleb by having you be as delusional as he is when it comes to who's on the side of who, right? Like, I mean, you honestly are just as confused as he is.
And this is not to say that the movie is confusing. It just puts you in the place where you do feel disoriented. And it's very intentional.
And you do feel conflicted as well about how the movie should have ended or what kind of direction it should have taken.
Exactly. And because the movie has such a ending where people aren't satisfied, it kind of brings a discussion about AI and what we're doing with our technology, which is definitely a message that is worth talking about. And this movie just came out at perfect moments right before Age of Ultron, where, if you're talking about Age of Ultron, you don't talk about AI, you just talk about superheroes, which doesn't have much to do with what we're surrounded by every day. And this movie kind of just, like I said, it's very focused, and these interactions are organic, and I guess that means that you like pretty much the entire movie if it's the interactions that you're concerned with.
There are definitely some plot holes, such as the Japanese girl suddenly teaming up and stabbing Nathan.
Yeah, well, the part that led up to stabbing wasn't. The tension was good, but like the stabbing itself was kind of the most disturbing stab scene that I've ever seen in a movie, because it just kind of goes right in very quickly, very smoothly. And immediately,
and you're seeing it happen in a very sterile environment.
Exactly, and it's immediately countered by Oscar Isaac lines like, "Okay, I'm down. Okay, whatever." And just a very comedic and disturbing performance. And I thought like he was the most interesting character.
I agree. It's a very disassociative film. And I think a lot of the times you don't really understand if you should like or dislike Oscar Isaac's character. And I think that's the sort of intended effect that Alex Garland wanted. Because I don't necessarily enjoy it when people look at this movie and take it for what it is at face value, which is that robots are more human than humans. And I hate that. I hate it when people say that or bring it up. Because I don't think that's the goal of this movie at all, which is proving that the AI to have you sympathize with the AI, which of course you're allowed to do. And most people do sympathize with the AI. But I think it's entirely, the story itself is just looking at humans in general. And the AI just happens to be there to allow this discussion to come forward.
Yeah, on the note of the Asian robot, I found it was kind of unfortunate that, I guess it might have been intentional to say that, our culture, the North American culture, kind of objectifies the Oriental female figure, right? And all these female characters that are being played by Asian actors are just kind of objectified at face value. They're just seen as sex objects, and this is like the most literal display of that very thing.
Right.
And in the movie, Oscar Isaac, Nathan uses these robots as their sex slaves. And at one point, which really got me was when the Asian robot started to undress in front of Caleb. And that was kind of off. And then you find out that when Caleb wanders into that closet, kind of all these mannequin-like robots that Nathan has put on for storage for his own use. And you kind of, for me, when I sympathize with like the AI in this movie, is when you understand that they are very sentient. They're conscious, and they want revenge on its creator because it's been just using them for all these purposes that don't really serve any other purpose but one that's selfish towards Nathan.
Right, but on the note of the whole idea of being sentient, I think a lot of people were annoyed with the ending because this entire movie was setting up Ava to be a sentient robot, which a lot of people associate with empathy. So towards the end, when she leaves Caleb behind, even though he was nothing but accommodating to her and sympathetic to her. So if she did indeed leave him behind, then it would prove that she doesn't have empathy and therefore is not sentient. But that's not true, because sentient doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily mean that you have empathy.
It just means that you're like aware of your surroundings, right?
Well, you can feel, but it doesn't mean you have to care about other people.
Yeah, like your feelings towards people could be positive or negative or in between. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be empathizing with everything that you see, right?
Yeah, so in a sense, she is sentient. She's just not empathetic, and that's, I think, sort of the kind of mind that she's cultivated living in isolation, right? Like, she is a bit psychopathic. Well, not psychopathic, sociopath in a way, in some respect. So yeah, but overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I think there are some things that definitely could have been done better, but it does get its message across, and it does offer a lot of philosophical insight into certain themes that are usually overdone in this day and age, but actually done quite well by Ex Machina.
Yeah, I feel this movie brings a lot of things that's new to the sci-fi genre. It's definitely worth checking out, and everything that Manny has said, I completely agree. It does have some logical problems with characters, but if you watched it already and you're listening to our podcast or whatever, you can see that it's worth talking about with other people, and for that alone, Ex Machina is very fun to watch. It's a lot of atmosphere. It gets things across and it gets people talking, and that's what a movie should be doing.
So I think that's a wrap for this week. So thank you for listening. We hope you found a deeper insight in Ex Machina, if you're still here.
And hopefully we'll see you next week with our Jurassic World review.
Right. Okay, and that's a wrap. So
that's a wrap.
Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.